La Lanterna, a spotlight in Italian football, is a podcast that dives into the beautiful game seen from the eyes of two fans from the oldest team in Italy's point of view. My name is Fabrizio Cardone, Canadian and Genovese, together with my friend Matt Killen, an American-born and Genoa fan. Every week, we'll tell you all you need to know about the only team you need to know about, Genoa CFC. Plus, we'll have guests and provide updates from around the magical world of Italian football. Benvenuti, everyone. This is Fabrizio with my best friend,
Matt. Hey, Fabry, what's going on?
And this is La Lanterna podcast. How is it going? Well, listen, we called the team to actually show up and do what they're supposed to be doing. And they delivered.
Oh, my God. Are we scoring? Are we a goal-scoring team now?
I don't know how to answer that.
4-0 against Cosenza?
I'm not used to that. I'm not used to that.
I'm not used to it either. But I'm not upset about it. I mean, this game, we were talking about it last week. This one was kind of like, it felt to me, and I think you were kind of feeling the same way, kind of like a quote unquote trap game where you're worried a little bit. Like Cosenza have not always had, obviously they've had kind of a tough go this season, but they've also gotten some decent results against some good teams. And I don't understand the memes that are going around on Genoa on Instagram and other these places. Some of them are talking about Genoa's home form and them being so strong. I think I still kind of associate us having a harder time playing at home. And so you never know exactly what's going to happen in this match. But obviously, we really got the result today, and it was pretty clear as far as kind of how the game was going to go. I thought fairly early on, too. What did you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, we had a team, which was Cosenza, coming in very pumped based on the fact of their derby win against Regina.
Massive win. Massive win.
I didn't watch it. We'll have our guest, which is Raffaello from the Cosenza Club New York, coming in shortly, and he can give us a little bit more insight about it. Mm-hmm. I think that actually no, there's no thinking. It was Regina. I don't know how well they were playing, but Regina was actually winning, and it's only and we actually said it, I think, in the last podcast too, because they were one of the first matches, but nevertheless, Cosenza scored 2 goals on the 90th and the 93rd. So I mean, good for them. Focused, and this new talent, striker, young, 19 years old, which actually they gave the reins from the get-go.
Nasty.
That's it. So they gave him the reins of the attack of their formation, which is a 4-3-2-1, 4-3-2-1, and they gave him the entirety responsibility of the front forwards. Having said that, Genoa had a decisive meaning to this match that, based on all the other results, and we can recap them quickly, but essentially Südtirol had reached at that point Genoa at par at 37 points. 47. And actually Bari had surpassed us because both of them had won, bringing Bari at 49. Yep. Genoa was sitting one match less at 47, and the only result acceptable was a win. And I even remember posting this comment on social media and so on, saying essentially this is the time where we have to grow up, meaning we cannot look back anymore. Now onwards, it's focus, and go for the race to the win, meaning potentially the second, depending on what. Essentially, it's not depending on, because it's in our hands. We have the lead.
Yeah, automatic promotions in our hands. Yes,
we have the lead on the third. So technically, quote unquote, if we win them all, we're automatically promoted.
Sure. Yep.
But also depending on what is going to happen with Frosinone, which at this point I'm not going to foresee them dropping. Even though if they do drop, there's still 11 points, right? But it's in our hands, period. So this was the match where it started, and I think they delivered, didn't they?
I mean, that you have to say that they did, really, with the way that this game went. I know the first half, maybe there weren't quite as many quote unquote fireworks, but I thought that it was a pretty deserved lead in the beginning of the game, going up 1-0. Another Dragoshin goal, and there is a joke on probably many of the group chats, but I know the Genoa Club New York group chat about Dragoshin being our bomber, or our forward, with the number of goals he's had in recent games. But what a free kick too. I mean, that ball was just, to use an American phrase, that was a wicked kind of play. Like, you saw it come all the way in, and somehow Dragoshin had some space, and he did everything he needed to do with it. But 1-0 felt more than the right kind of accounting of the scoreline before that. And I think the second half, it started to become really, Genoa were really kind of running downhill a lot of that match.
Oh, free header, Dragoshin! The second home game finds the net with the head and sends the crowd wild. The Achilles heel for the Calabrians. Gudmundsson picked him out, but what an excellent header that is. Across the face of Mikai. He had no time to react, and even he, with his celebration, saying, have a look at that.
I think I'm gonna probably jump ahead to a little bit too much around this, but
Sure.
I'm gonna already vote my man of the match. It's quite. I mean, everyone played well, some a little less, but still above positive ratings. So maybe Sturaro was a little bit too nervous.
Yeah.
Some people thought that Martinez did not. I didn't think so, but whatever. But I think Gudmundsson was the man of the match. And this assist from the penalty, the free kick that you just mentioned, flying all the way and curving into the header for Dragoshin. Mind you, that I don't know where was the defense, but
kind of the story of the game a little bit too.
That's true. But at the same time, it was quite difficult. It was very angled, that the ball came from the right to the left, looking at the goal. And Dragoshin just jumped up, and with a very narrow, opening of the goal, the goalie was not even that far from him and whatnot, but managed to put it in that spot where the goalie just couldn't catch it. That's not the goalie's fault either, because it was too close range and to catch it.
I'm not sure you can fault Cosenza's keeper at all in this match. I mean, look, the technique from that free kick is phenomenal when you consider it's coming from a forward/winger. You're not expecting a ball like that to be delivered by him. And I think you're completely right. Like, even if you take away his goal, which I think was another one where, I don't know if you remember that play, but it was kind of like it's a really, really, really sloppy back pass that ended up being something that he pounced on. And I think the keeper was really frustrated afterwards, kind of rightly so, to be honest with you. But take away that goal even, and the two assists that he had, the way that he was involved. There are many, I think, movements in the beginning of the first half too, where you saw him kind of really, really right there and part of it all. Yep. And it's just so much fun when you see, there's again on the Genoa Club New York group chat, like Champagne Calcio, like when you're seeing the side play like this, I know I've been a Genoa fan less than probably most people listening to this podcast, but like, you don't get many matches that I can remember where you see Genoa looking like that and playing like that. And so it's a fun thing to see. And it's a lot of fun also to see players like Gudmundsson, who've been with us for more than I guess just about a year now, starting to kind of seem like they're hitting their stride.
I agree. Especially in the second half, we did see basically a lot more confidence, and that's where you saw the amazing coming out. Mind you, obviously, it's easy to play that way with a qualitative, very different two teams and whatnot. But even in the first half, it felt a little tight, even to go into the first half with 1-0. Even though towards the end of the first half, we almost risked that one goal from a counterattack. I think it was a counterattack from Cosenza. Nevertheless, Gilardino at the Ferraris, not even one goal conceded.
I mean, the goals for in goals against. It's really, really amazing when you consider Serie B and how challenging of a division this is. And I know I'm going to be kind of selectively picking some statistics here, but when you talk about some teams that were our rivals and still are, by the way, we are not by any means out of the gate. Cagliari have let in 28 goals. Parma have let in 31 goals. Regina, maybe defense isn't exactly their strong suit, 31 goals. We've let in 19. Frosinone have had an amazing season. They've let in 18, but the next closest, I think, actually is Bari with 27, which in and of itself is somewhat of a surprise. So it's really important that we're continuing to get those performances, and even in the Blessin era, we were always very solid in the back and how we were organized. And again, it's just kind of exciting to see the team kind of find that stride and find that swagger a little bit, which it doesn't always happen. And one thing I will say, I have a funny theory about this game. I don't know if everybody will agree with it. It's kind of one of those hot take statements, but Strootman also had a wonderful game. I mean, most of our players did. I kind of think he got activated. I don't know if you remember earlier on in the match, there was like this tangle between him and Giacomo Callo, who of course used to be one of ours. Yeah. By the way, I didn't realize he was with the Sampdoria youth team before. I had no idea.
I can't even remember myself.
But anyway, former Genoa player. It was just like a weird movement. It looked like Callo went down a little bit too easily or something. And I kind of felt like after that, he was just, you saw how Strootman gets sometimes when he gets involved in something like that, and you see his kind of like bottom teeth come out or something.
Like anger.
Yeah. And I just felt like he was all energy for the entire time he was out there. And I mean, I really kind of unlucky actually not to score in some instances. I thought he was also excellent on the day.
Agree. The first half then ended with 1-0. No changes for the second half. So the lineup, let's quickly talk about the lineup.
Sure.
So we had, strangely so, I have to agree with some comments that I heard out there. So we all are not fans, more or less anyways, of the 3-5-2, but it actually fit very well with the type, finally, of players that we had on the pitch.
I agree. So
from Martinez in the goal, we had on the model of the three defenders, we had Dragosin to the left, Vogliacco to the center, another solid performance by Vogliacco as well, and Bani, that miraculously type of recouped by his shoulder type of injury that he had against the Spal match. Yep. But those are the three solid defenders. Again, I'm going to continue to say this. I still think that the defense is going to stay. I think it's more or less the backbone of the defense is still going to be the same.
You mean the same every match, pretty much the same guys?
Well, sorry, I should have described it better. You're right. What I meant to say is like being promoted. If we get promoted in Serie A, I think that should still look. It's not going to be. There's not going to be any major changes.
I can understand that.
Then in the midfield, so the 5 model, we have from the left to the right, Haps, which was in a way preferred to Criscito based on the fact of the athleticism rather than the expertise and whatnot. Then in the trio of the midfield, a few you just already mentioned, but it was essentially Strootman, Badel, and Sturaro. Another great match, actually, from all three, other than the fact that Sturaro was probably the less best.
Yeah,
not the worst, the less best.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All the way to the right with Sabelli. Wonderful match. Once again, a lot of people are hating him. It's just because I think a lot of times a lot of fans are basing their judgment on certain players just based on their foot. In that we had these conversations when we talked about Coda, when we talked especially about Ekuban. By the way, Caleb Ekuban was on the bench,
right?
And so they sure, it's important that you do crosses and when you kick the ball, it goes straight and so on. Sure. But, not everybody can afford Messi. Not everybody can afford Pogba and so on. And even they do the mistakes. But guess what? They are forgiven, but not the little players like Sabelli. But nevertheless, all this to say that another great performance by Sabelli.
Sabelli, too. I do want to talk about this for a half second as well, because I think he definitely is one of those players that you were just talking also about, like, if we were to continue our momentum, and I won't finish that sentence because I understand also some of the I won't even say, but Sabelli is a player who is on the wrong side of 30. He's not as known for being a first division player. But I really think, and when we have a squad formation like this too, you can see it maybe a little bit more easily, but he and Goodmanson actually have a really great connection. Sometimes you see Goodmanson playing more on the left side, maybe with more of like the left back and what's going on there. It was interesting to see him playing actually more as like a, technically speaking, if you believe the 3-5-2 is more kind of like a striker position. And I thought Sabelli and Goodmanson together, they had a lot of great movements. He had a lot of, I think he had 3 key passes on the match, at least according to SofaScore. And you just always, I can't remember very many matches where he doesn't have 1 or 2 key passes a game. And it just, he maybe isn't the fastest. He may not always be incredibly
Precise.
Technically sophisticated from a defensive perspective, but
Right.
he does always seem to be involved in our buildup. And I agree with you. I think you have to kind of recognize that too.
Exactly. My point is like, to your point again, to the fact of maybe he's not so precise a lot of times and so on, but those 2-3 key passes or balls that are thrown in and whatnot are the ones that make the difference. And I think similar to the conversations we had long and so forth a while now back from Ecobun's perspective is like how you bring yourself to the match and the play and the so on. And that's what helps, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, that right side with Hefty out, which he was back on the bench as well.
Yep.
And he actually got some minutes at the end. And again, we saw, at least I don't know if you had a chance to really see that. I'll go back to Sabelli in a second, but that he had the last few minutes. I can't remember now. He got put in for Sabelli because he had a small injury. Hopefully Sabelli, keep fingers crossed, he's okay on the 72nd minute. And I think we saw the old Hefty that we were used to. But looking at what you're actually showing to me is you can see Sabelli focus is more on the front rather than on the back.
Yeah. And I kind of, again, another kind of funny comment, but I think maybe the way that we're lining up in this formation is because it really allows Sabelli and to some degree too Haps to play in a way that fits their game maybe a little bit better. You know, we don't really have, we've always talked about, you don't have that real number 10 central attacking player, but you don't necessarily need one if you've got 3 really solid defensive midfield players, which we do, and all these guys, Badels, Guerreros, Grotman, very defensively competent. You have 3 very good center backs playing in that back 3, and you give yourself a chance to have players like Sabelli and Haps, I think, to some degree too. When you see these guys make a difference in games, they're making a difference in the final third. They're whipping in crosses. They're doing all these crazy things. And, his heat map, he's like, I don't know what percentage this is, but the only red marks are like literally in the final third. It's not even just on the other side of the halfway line. Like he's playing as, it looks like a right winger. And so like, I think that's like one of the strengths of this formation. I'm with you too. We were all part of that Basta 3-5-2 crowd and everything else. And I'm not completely sold on it, but I think when you see performances like this, you can kind of understand what Gilardino is trying to do.
No, absolutely. And actually, I'm going to use your comment around this is the fact that when we are attacking, I actually see both Dragosin and Bani go up all above the midfield, and Sabelli and Haps become basically wingers. I'm going to use it very softly because they're not wingers, right? But essentially, that's what it looks like. So at the end, when we are in defense, we have one at the back very back with Volyaco, and actually Martinez. Actually, sometimes he acts as a defender too, right? But then we have basically the three defensive midfielders that basically stay there in that defensive midfield position. Mm-hmm. And then so you get the Dragusin and Bani that surpasses them, and then you get Sabelli and Haps that essentially are going to all the way up to the top, and you can see it. I mean, no one can see it, but we're all, Matt and I are looking at the heat map, and when we look at the Bani, for example, you can see him that the heat map of course he is a right back, but you can see a lot of focus, a little bit of orangey itself also pass beyond the midfield. And the same you can tell basically for Dragusin on the other opposite side, right? More focus obviously is before the midfield, but you get a lot of heat map coming up again above. But Dragusin on the other side, unbelievably, not only he's a left back, but I guess it's because sorry, I shouldn't have said this now, but essentially when Criscito came in, he got moved on the other side. And that's what happened, I think. But anyways, having said what I was trying to say is so these two left back and right back go above the midfield. These two centrals, the lateral centrals, which are Sabelli and Haps, move all the way up, becoming sort of quote unquote wingers in support of the two strikers, which in this case were Puskás and Gudmundsson.
And people might be saying, Bani and Dragusin are center backs, but when you look at what Fabry's describing, they're kind of positionally actually playing more of that left back, right back position, because as you mentioned, you have still Volyaco, who's able to be a little bit more central. And then also you have, again, three central guys kind of playing up ahead. And so you have them kind of fitting more on the sides of the pitch, more or less, and operating in that way. So, yeah, I mean, it was very effective today. I think, Cosenza unfortunately had a few errors themselves and didn't make it easier. But I mean, I don't think you can really argue with this. The statistics of the game: 24 shots, 9 on target for Genoa.
So that means more or less, I'm just very roughly estimating it. Every 2 shots, it's a goal. In today's match.
Yeah, just about for the shots on target anyway. The shots that were on target.
Yeah.
We were able to convert it that way. And so we had 3 big chances we converted. There was none that we missed. We hit the woodwork. I know Cosenza also did. But this was a game where Genoa really looked in their form. And, thankfully for us, it's a deserved win. And as you mentioned, it really was an important match. You lose this match or we draw this match, and we probably, I don't know exactly, should be able to more easily convert the math right now, but we're at least going to be behind where Bari is and level with Südtirol, actually, if we were to lose the game. So to keep our position on second is really, really critical. But again,
as I said at the beginning, it's in our hands right now, right?
Yeah. It is totally in our hands, but I think also it's, so this season, just looking at the table really quick with Serie B, so for so many weeks, we had teams move from 13th to 7th and all these kind of crazy jumps. And I think there's definitely still some of that movement that can happen, but you are starting to see more and more. I feel like each week I say this, there's kind of becoming these groupings now in Serie B. You're kind of starting to see it. Frosinone is kind of off on their own thing. It's really us, Bari, and Südtirol.
Yep.
All with 3 points between us. Second, third, and fourth, respectively. You go down to fifth. Pisa is down 8 points behind us. So you go from being Südtirol on 47 on fourth to Pisa at 42nd on fifth. And then you kind of have this other cluster where you've got,
that's a big group,
a pretty big group this is where you can see a lot of that movement. I mean, at the very least, you kind of go down to probably 9th spot, where Palermo are sitting with 38 points. And that's only a 4-point gap between 9th and a good promotion place in 5th. But honestly, you look at Ascoli, you look at Ternana, who are playing at the weekend.
All the way down to Cittadella, probably.
All the way down to Cittadella, who are at 34. And, 34 isn't that far off from Cagliari's 39.
No, it's
Cittadella
only
are
5 points.
Cagliari's at 8. And Perugia maybe is a little bit farther down. Maybe they're more in this bottom rung where everyone, the remaining group are kind of fighting for survival here.
That's the other group.
But it's still, again, very, very close. So Cosenza, again, we mentioned it was a tough game for them. They've kind of been struggling this season, but still, you have to look at this from a positive angle if you're a Cosenza fan. And again, I think it's worth I know we'll be talking to Raffaello. We'll talk about this in more detail, but also very much credit to the Cosenza fans and the traveling support today. But they're literally a Cosenza win and a Spal loss. I guess they're not going to be there on goal differential, but they'll at least be level on points. If Benevento also were to go to lose too, so you just have one match that flips it, where they get being 20th, be 18th.
Listen, the next match, we'll talk about it with Raffaello, but the next match is actually, we should do this analysis after, but nevertheless, just quick, because it's otherwise I'm going to just interrupt myself. But if Cosenza wins against Spal, they're going to surpass them. Cosenza is going to surpass Spal.
Oh, yes. Well, right. They'll be 29, Spal will be 28. Right.
Correct. So it's very important for them to win that one. But to what you were saying before, it's like very interesting to see these groups. So unless like some magic, and I'm touching everything I can that this magic can happen, but Frosinone has already consolidated, if not the first, anyways, anywhere between the first and the second.
Yeah,
it's in their hands even more than our spot.
Yep.
Then that 3 team group for the second spot. So the loser of these this trio essentially will be playing on the finale for the playoffs.
Yep.
And then that other group that you were referring to, just quickly recapping again, is Pisa, Regina, Parma, Cagliari, and Palermo. If we want to use the most closest, are all up for grabs for all the other spots. So the other remaining 4 spots in 5 teams, essentially. Mm-hmm. So that's almost done deal there, if you look at it. But to your point, the one below, they're not that far below, but they're obviously below, and that those will be trying to fight to get up to grab the last spots for the playoffs.
I mean, if you think about Cagliari on 39, they're 8th, they're the last playoffs position right now. You can go all the way down. I mean, I think you're totally right. I mean, Cittadella is not that far away. They're 5 points off. They're 5 points off Cagliari. And,
like one loss and 1 draw by Cagliari and 2 wins by Cittadella, right there, they're surpassed.
Right. So, you could see a ton of movement here at the end of the season, and that's what's going to make this so exciting. And again, like you mentioned, Cosenza win the match against Spal. Let's pretend that Venezia and Perugia don't get very good results, and all of a sudden they could be completely out. They might not even have to play in a playoff spot to stay alive. So you never know. Again, I don't want to say too much because I know Raffaello won't like hearing me say that without knocking on wood, which I am right now, Raffaello. But it's a wild season. You're seeing.
No, sorry. I want to interrupt you because I definitely do want to speak with Raffaello because he has quite some interesting things to talk about this. He was the one that told me when Regina was above us, listen, they are going to drop, and look what happened. So anyways, let's put that on pause for a second, just to wrap up because he's knocking at the door. So he's coming soon. What I mean, essentially, like in the second half, we saw the other 2 goals, and sorry, the other 3 goals. My apology, and it didn't happen immediately, but you did see the second half coming up strongly and whatnot, and then it was like boom, boom, boom. The second and the third were like apart by 2 minutes. Goodmanson, great action on his own. Amazing, like fantastic. And his second goal, it was just for him, essentially.
Oh, and given away, Goodmanson for an easy second goal. He puts it in. Cosenza shoot themselves in the foot. And Albert Goodmanson takes full advantage. Well, from here, Calot didn't seem to have too many problems, but then with Badel on top of him, he panicked. Gudmundsson pounced, and he was so calm there.
Then we have Puskas, which was the one that I was in the chat. I was actually saying, this guy, he's just not a striker. I mean, not that he's not a striker, but he just can't be. I was saying, like, he can't be he doesn't have the stamina for a Genoa striker. But he had his momentum, and a great assist, by the way, by Sabelli, who gave him a very easy third goal. Yeah. And 10 minutes after that, Jagiello, after an amazing, again, their action by Gudmundsson, giving him a beautiful ball. And even Jagiello himself, he played a little bit going more towards the right, and then then putting it in, essentially.
Pretty great run, too, that he had when he scored that goal. Nice little footwork. I think he drugged out like 3 different Cosenza players, if I remember, and scored that goal. So it was a really, really fine finish, and that capped off the night.
As Gudmundsson again motors through the middle. Jagiello tries to keep it going. Finds the angle. Jagiello! Genoa have their 4th. And maybe the best team goal of the night.
So, great match. I want them to be pumped. And we'll talk about, obviously, with Raffaello also about a little bit, because, of course, you won't even want to care about talking about it. But we'll talk about the Tanana match. The guys, meaning our players, have to understand that they have to keep this momentum and not sleep on anymore. They cannot afford that anymore. So the slip-ups, for example, quote-unquote slip-ups, like the loss against Parma or the tie against Modena, cannot happen anymore. We do not have that luxury.
Yeah, it's a tight battle from now on. And we've got a decent test this week with Ternana coming up. I think this was one. I actually remember this game a little bit differently. I know we ended up winning the game. I think this was really Blessing's last good result, if I'm not mistaken, because we ended up drawing against Brescia after that, and it kind of went downhill from there.
That's right.
But it's going to be a difficult test, and it's a really important match this Sunday.
Let's go to our break. We have our guest ready to come in, and we'll have a great chat with him right after the break.
My name is Fabrizio Cardone, and I approve this message.
Welcome back to La Antena podcast on our second half. We have our amazing guest, which is going to be now his 3rd attendance to our podcast. It's the 3rd time. He's our senior guest now. It's Raffaello. This is Raffaello from Cosenza Club New York. Benvenuto, Rafa. How are you?
Hi, guys. How are you?
I know you're not that happy.
What's going on?
You want to talk about something else? Let's talk about
yeah, sure. Nice weather, actually. 60 degrees, nice sunny day.
Right?
In New York, not bad.
It was a beautiful day in New York today. I don't know how it wasn't.
Yeah.
We were actually discussing, obviously we discussed about the match, so we didn't want to hurt you too much based on the fact that we were looking at the standings. If you want to pull it up, Matt, so we can talk about it together. But essentially, we wanted to look at it. And obviously, Rafa and I were speaking, messaging each other during the week and saying, Cosenza is not going to come to Genova and going for flowers because, it's very important for them to get points in order to try to stay afloat in Serie B. Obviously, I was telling him the same thing for us, based especially after the results that we saw from Frosinone and Südtirol and Bari and whatnot. It was difficult from both sides in order that both were hungry for the points. But when we were doing an analysis of the actual standings, essentially, even though we sadly saw Cosenza fall back down to the bottom, it's still not impossible. And we were even looking at the next match, and as I wrote it to you, Rafa, even winning against Spal, which is not an impossibility, it brings you at least above them, anyways.
Yeah, we know that.
How I know, of course you do. What's happening actually in Cosenza? I remember talking to you briefly about the fact that they were in protest. They wanted to talk with ownership and so on. So what's the air happening down in Cosenza? By the way, 900, almost 1,000 Cosentini came down from Calabria all the way up to Genova. Another spectacle again. The Genoa fans were chanting together with the Cosenza fan. It was just beautiful. In the stadium was beautiful.
Cosenza! 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 Yeah, fantastic, outstanding actually. And remarking that was Monday
too,
work day, and by the way, I mean, over 1,000 miles far away. So it was not like Brescia or Como or, you know what I mean? You have to understand, it's a big deal. Like, almost 1,000 people Monday. Because if it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, probably double. I don't want to say double, but maybe 15 for sure.
I think you
know what I mean? Yeah, that's the average.
Yeah.
They met the president, and actually they try to fix things. So we have two part of ultras, Curva Sud and Curva Nord, and they are separate for a long time. So the president Guarascio just met Curva Nord because Curva Sud didn't want to have any speech with them, and just they didn't want to meet, basically. So Curva Nord and then Guarascio met, and they had this summit to try to meet in some point, because at this point of the season, we really need big support in the Stadium Marula Stadium, because that's where our if you're going to save ourselves, there is no way not to have support, at least at home. That's very important. And Genoa was not the stadium where we're supposed to make points and just, we knew it. But obviously, coming from a nice match against Regina, we were like very enthusiastic. Also because we found the bomber finally, Nasty, Milan school, and and to be honest with you, we start playing nice, like with the criteria, nice order, like and then when you give as a gift in a gold dish a couple of goals like we did, we made two big mistakes, and this is happening so often. This already we come from these big mistakes. Actually, all the first part of the season we are doing through those big issues, like and then obviously with the Genoa, which I think is the strongest team in Serie B, above Frosinone, not because now I'm in front of you guys, but it's a real corazzata. I don't know how Frosinone is standing there, even if they are playing well, but I don't know, maybe what I think is that he better watch his back, because I think he's gonna fall soon like Regina did, and at some point. But because Genoa has the biggest, more solid foundations, and besides the stadium, the supporters, amazing, and anything else. But as organization, I think is much more is beyond. And so, and that's it. Then when you don't defend that at least a few, three Genoa soccer player in the little area, and Albert, he didn't even jump to score the goal.
Yeah.
He was just totally alone by himself, like, in the middle of nowhere. And so you cannot make it this game. I mean, just, it was impossible to make up and just made up this game. This just was really unbelievable. So, I mean, that's it. Amen.
Yeah.
I don't want to even think about it because it's just.
You pretty much have to just focus on the next one, right? Like you kind of said it like you're not expecting to get much out of the visit to the Marassi. So it didn't happen. It was maybe not more ugly than you might have thought because of inflicted mistakes and things, but
mistakes
you
cannot do with Genoa mistakes. I mean, you can do with anybody else, but not with Genoa, with Bari or whatever. I mean, another big team.
So going back on the top of the standings, I was telling Matt just before you joined that you were actually telling me, Rafa, and I remember even you coming back saying, you see, I have those predictions and I'm like a witch or a wizard or something like that. It was essentially 10 match days ago, 8 match days ago, when Regina was second, Raffaello was telling me, listen, Fabrizio, mark my words, Regina
is impicchiata libera, I say.
So that's like a dip.
Vertical. I knew it.
And it did happen. Yeah. So unbelievable. And I said to him, you better be sure that you're going to make that happen with Frosinone too.
That's great.
They prepared this very high speed in preparation. So in the beginning, they made a lot of points. But at some point, it's physiological that they have to stop at some point. Mm-hmm. They are not machines. You know what I mean?
Right.
And by the way, I think Inzaghi is making a lot of mistakes, like his brothers. They are brothers, not for some. They are brothers for some reasons. I'm sorry to say, but that's the truth. I'm sorry. Just
his brother.
I don't know how they can be there coaching a big team like also Regina, mm-hmm. and used to coach in Lazio, now Inter de Milan, but. At that level, I think Inter de Milan really needs somebody else. Inzaghi is just embarrassing. I'm sorry. I have no filters to say what I
don't disagree with you, to be honest.
And that's why I don't like Serie A. Serie A is we are really missing. Not we, because I don't really follow Serie A. I mean, I follow, but randoming, it's just mm-hmm. I only follow the category where Cosenza play.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, obviously, is a Serie B. And I really enjoy Serie B. Serie B is beautiful also because you see a lot of Italian players. And that's the real Italian soccer. Because I would never, even if I would be a fan of Juventus, Inter Milan, I would never how people can follow soccer team with a bunch of great players, but from all over the world. And you can only see few, 3, maybe 4, if you're lucky. Actually, Inter has 6 or 7, something like that, which is a record with along Monza. Mm-hmm. Italians. I mean, it's like a legione straniera, you know? Just, you know what I mean? They only wear the Italian soccer jersey and that's it. But they come from all over the world. I could never really, I don't know. I mean, I would feel weird. You know what I mean? Not want to pick an Italian soccer player. Come on, guys.
You see the development too in Serie B. I mean, we're so excited.
Serie B is different.
It's a bit different. Lipani and these other players
we have Italians.
Yeah.
Where the really talent comes from, it's actually Lega Pro, Serie B.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way. And then when they go play in Serie A, they stop the career for mm-hmm. some reason, or they gotta go away and play in some other leagues in Europe, whatever.
Go Scamacca, for example, right?
Yeah.
I know. I'm still upset about that, but I guess he never really was a proper Genoa player anyway.
He was always on loan. I'm going to use the words that Raffaello just said about the Italian players. I want to applaud once again Gilardino. I think we're at the 6th Primavera player that have been had a debut with the major team. So our top goal scorer from the Primavera, Cornero, got a few minutes right at the end. Mm-hmm. And it's not only nice to see the evaluation of these young players and whatnot, and not ready to sell them right away as we saw from the old ownership, but also, to Raffaello's point, is just to see some fresh new talent from Italians, kids that keep fingers crossed and whatnot, that they will be, the next future generations coming, right? So it's nice to see. So next match, Spal, definitely, it's almost like a must win for you guys. How are you seeing that match?
It's actually our big final. There is no way. In or out. I mean, I'm not kidding, because even if we still have 9 games left.
9 games after that game, yeah.
Yeah, but this is a big match for us. Is the key. Is at least, I don't want to kidding, probably 50%. I'm not kidding, because then you cut off one direct competitor. If you can make 3 points and win, and I think it's a really, really important game. That's why we really need all the supporters, because there is no way we need the supporters to push the soccer in the goalie. I mean, there is no other way. I was really enjoying the stadium today. It's amazing when you have all the supporters who just dodicesimo uomo in campo. What does it mean? Like
12th man on the pitch. And it's funny that you say that, because when Matt went to Genova for his first experience at the Marassi, we were already condemned to Serie B. So it was the last match of Serie A, and there was the same amount of cheer and followership and singing and so on. But, we were already, mathematically already in Serie B, but it was still, apart, because it's the support to the team. We know they did their best, and it doesn't matter. We're still there, and we'll still be supporting Genoa. Yeah. And no, you're right. And then when you write me those things about I think it's the Curva A that is mostly the one that is against. Are they the one that are protesting and not even chanting anymore, stuff like that? Supporting the team?
Say it again. I'm sorry. I lost you for 1 second.
Is it the Curva A that is not supporting?
Oh, okay. The Curva Sud is really against. I mean, both of the curvas, because they are separate, the two curvas. Like in Naples. In Naples, the Curva A, Curva B, they don't really communicate each other. But and the same is happening in Cosenza for now a long time. And this is the biggest issues besides our president, because every president can make mistakes, and also we already said this a while ago, that he doesn't really belong to soccer world. He doesn't come from the field, and even but it doesn't mean anything, because if we think about De Laurentiis, he doesn't know anything about soccer. But if you are able to organize very well your industry, your azienda, your factory, let's say that. It could be an issue. Also, because you are a smart businessman who are going to hiring and using the right people in the right spots in order to succeed. And the problem is that when you have a big issue internal, like in between our supporters, each others, and that's the big problem. Plus, I point my finger also to not all of them, but most of the journalists in Cosenza. Unfortunately, I have to say that they are chicken. They don't really take any right position in order to defend the colors, Cosenza red and blue colors, and they are not standing in the right way. Probably probably somebody blackmailed them. Probably they are afraid. That's why I say they are chickens. Probably, I don't know, they don't want to take any position because then somebody can say, oh, you know what, they are, I don't know how you say in English, lecchini of the president. Like they try to, how do you say, Fabrizio, help me here.
Kiss ass.
You know what? Yeah, it's a kiss ass, the president. But actually, it's so wrong because you are killing yourself. It's so sad. I mean, you gotta support the famous synergy. There is no way if you don't have a synergy, you don't go anywhere. So, stampa, calciatori, and presidenza. So, soccer players, so the team, the president, and the journalist has to work all together and go in the same direction. Otherwise, there is no way you cannot save your team. You can do a nice season. You don't generate any enthusiasm. There is nothing. And in Genoa, all of this, I can see this works tremendously great. I see Carletto Adani is the Gotham, is the best. And probably, of course, I don't know all the others, but I'm sure there are so many good journalists and reporters and
That's a little bit different conversation altogether there, Raffaello, because Carlo, he's like fantastic. I love him. He's great. He's very honest.
I wish we had somebody like him. That's my point. We don't have.
Yeah. But then you have other journalists, and I'd rather not say their names, even though they're obvious for many Genoani, but those ones are just you just want to strozzarli. You want to just kill them,
So that's our big problem. That everybody gone against to the president, and also because it seems like it's trendy to go. And if you don't go against to him, seems like you kiss his ass, or you don't belong to the il branco. To the bad boys, the right boy, the right people. Like they think that they are right, but I think that I don't want to defend the president because otherwise people can think that I'm too close to him. But and I know people make mistakes, but when but indirectly he made mistakes because he probably. The DS made the mistakes. Obviously, he had the mistake. The DS. I mean, everything is relative.
It's how we say in English, catch the tul gatto che si muove la coda, meaning that things happen and it has a chain reaction and so on, like that.
And then, besides anything else, guys, I have to just finish this topic because it's very important. This is in my culture, my art.
Of course.
In Cosenza is a privilege to be able to play in Serie B. People don't understand. I know everybody wants to go in Serie A, also because Catanzaro, Reggina, and Crotone went in Serie A. And we are the only team, historical, 1914, with so many years militated in Serie B that we didn't make it yet. But it doesn't mean maybe one day we will. But also people have to understand that I don't know. I mean, there are so many problems now, and also the soccer is going down, is falling down. Besides the war in Russia, and we come from COVID, inflations, so many issues, so many problems. And I think to have a Serie B in a little city like Cosenza is still a big privilege, but people don't see this. Plus, they have to understand where we come from, where we belong, where we were born. There is no industry. No industry in Calabria. So they are looking for somebody like some Arabic Emirates, but we don't have this power. We don't have this. Soccer teams are looking for big multi-properties. That is very difficult to find. Even Palermo, Palermo belongs to Manchester City and New York FC. It's still there. It's still is struggling to go up and just it's very difficult. So you cannot pick, you cannot choose your own president.
Definitely.
They want what they want, but they gotta face the reality. It's not easy.
You have to be careful what you wish for, and I think it's tough with supporters sometimes, because when you see results that aren't going a certain way, like there's a real culture, obviously, of like fan protest and fans making their voices heard and trying to force people out and all of these things. But to your point, Raf, like unless you just have so much money that it just doesn't matter, like there's no such thing as like a perfect owner. Like you're not going to find these guys. They're all going to make mistakes. I mean, look at the guy. Like I know sometimes we talk about the Premier League, like Bowley at Chelsea spending £400 million and scoring like a goal in 7 games or however many games it's been. Like it's just because you have that event, that doesn't always guarantee anything. So
in Premier.
Yeah.
In Premier, no in Serie A.
That's
in Premier.
True. Yeah.
So I mean, it's just, you're right. I mean, I agree with you, and so they have to. People have to understand. There is no appreciation. That's why I'm so mad. Also, maybe because I living out of the country far away from Italy. Probably I picture a big painting. I see a different from different corner. I see a big picture. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And people who lives inside, they don't see what they have and what's the real potentiality, which is equal to 0. They don't understand. They don't see this. Right. I really appreciate the fact that we have this president. Believe or not, we are still there after 5 years, coming from a disaster. And in 12 years, he just brought up the team from Serie D, going through Serie C2, which doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
So one step more, and also Lega Pro and Serie B for 5 years, struggling, of course, making a lot of mistakes. But in the end, we already saved our ass in the end. I mean, I understand it's very difficult to accept this kind of very difficult season every year, but we don't have a choice. How do you say? O ti mangi la minestra, ti butti dalla finestra. There is no choice. We are not Triveneto.
That expression in Italian, I don't know how it translates in English, but literally it's either you eat the soup or you're going to jump from the window.
Absolutely.
Either going to eat or you're going to jump.
This. How people cannot see this? They think that we live in Triveneto, we live in Emilia-Romagna, we live in Lombardia, we live in Piedmont. We live in Calabria. As much as I love Calabria, we don't have industry. I cannot repeat it always the same. Just people don't realize where they live. The territory. That's the territory. It's just, there is nothing. Unfortunately, we're beautiful, but we don't dance. That's why we say, è bello ma non balla. Yeah, we have the beach, we have la Sila, le montagne. We are so pretty. But unfortunately, strange, there's nothing.
I have 2 questions for you. So they might take some time, but the first one may be a little bit less. But the first one is Ternana. So Ternana is one of our next, it's our next match. You guys played them 3 or 4 match days ago, and you managed to get a nice 0-0, but at least you managed to get a point from them. How it was at home? Perhaps maybe you could have gotten more points or whatnot, but how was that match?
It was very tight, actually, and I was really worried about Partipilo. To be honest, he's our ex. I think is one of the top players of Serie B, and I didn't expect this kind of Ternana, because Ternana is very tough team. Also, they can play dirty, and they are a very physical team. Even if right now I think is a little bit down physically, and but a
little bit like Ascoli.
Yeah, but I think both of the teams there is something wrong inside the team. There is something wrong. I mean, you know what I mean. Also, yeah. I mean, Lucarelli's back is another our ex Lucarelli.
Yeah.
But and he's supposed to give him more enthusiasm, but it didn't make any big effect right now yet, and I don't know what's going on. But it's very strange. But they are fighting like in Cosenza Calcio with the presidents. So there is something wrong
inside
with the property. Yeah, I mean, so that's why I don't believe Ternana is going to make the playoff.
I don't think so either. I mean, they're very close. We talked about that. It's like a group that it's just below the playoffs, but it would mean teams like, even though they are dropping down, like Regina, Pisa, Parma, Cagliari, Palermo, not to qualify to give them an opportunity. So I don't know. It's a tough.
Maybe Pisa, Fabrizio. Maybe Pisa. Yes. Maybe Pisa
can drop a little bit.
They can make it Pisa, just to participate to the playoff. Maybe Pisa, yes, because I see a lot of enthusiasm and they have a nice team. There is a well balance in the field.
That's very true.
When
very
they play,
different compared
nothing
to
special. Nothing special, but a very square team.
Yeah.
So
nothing really changed much from the first from last year either, right?
Yeah. And I think Ternana is doing like Regina. Regina is doing like Ternana. They start they're boom, speeding and then now they are falling down. I don't know, but for different reasons probably. I don't know. But
second question, and I have a feeling I'm going to open a can of worms here. I'm just going to say the name of the team, and you know what I'm going to be talking about because of that. Bari.
I gotta be honest with you. Bari has a great team. Bari. I gotta be honest. And so De Laurentiis knows what to do. De Laurentiis' son and all the management, they know how to manage soccer, and through Naples' big experience. And I really believe that they're going to win I was ironic today on Instagram and answering somebody who was trying to gufare, who was trying to tirare i tuoi piedi. You know what I mean? And they say, oh, they brought all day long. Why Cosenza is doing well? Congratulations, Genoa is already. Obviously, we knew that. This was the game. I mean, but they were very sarcastic, ironic, and but I truly believe that they are going to win the playoff. Yeah. I don't see any other team besides. The biggest surprise could be Bisoli, who I know very well, but I think there is something more in the Bari in terms of quality and long in panchina. They have a lot of players also, as how do you say? If they have to change somebody, they know they have more.
The bench.
Yes.
Bisoli
longer. Absolutely.
Bisoli, for who's not knowing too much, just to help whomever wants to understand, is the current coach, which is doing an amazing job at Südtirol.
General, yeah.
And we've always chanted saying this is the big surprise, the Cinderella of the Serie B, but they've been proving more and more and more really to have that quality, not quality in players, but quality, I guess, in game. They're not big scorers, but they're still getting their points.
Yeah, physically they are very, very strong. They are so fast and they don't have a pressure. That's the beauty of this team. That's the gift they have. It's golden when you don't have a lot of pressure in your environment, and so they play for fun. They are really enjoying playing, and when you don't have a pressure, you can really play. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And they 2,000 supporters. Are you kidding me?
Isn't that crazy?
Fantastic. I love it.
It's awesome. It's been fun. I think beyond you guys, they're the team that's kind of been fun to root for in like a neutral perspective. I guess Cosenza is not exactly neutral with Genoa, but you want to see Südtirol doing well for that reason.
Well, besides, it's the first time that a team from Bolzano is in Serie B, so that's also interesting to have a representation also from that region.
We are very open to let participate an Austriac team in our national Italian league. I mean, we are very like communistic in this case, even if I'm
very welcoming. Side, that's very nice of you, Raf. Very kind-hearted.
Oh man! Okay.
They have a lot of money. They have a lot of money. They're cool. They're fun. I like them. To be honest with you, it's something different. Not always this boring team like Brescia, Como, Cosenza, you know what I mean? Something different, something like Cinderella of the situation. I love it.
So, two quick things. The next two matches, three matches of Cosenza. So forget about Spal. After that, it's not going to be an easy run. You have Frosinone immediately after, then you have Pisa at home, and then you have to go to Palermo.
I have no words left, to be honest with you. It's gonna be really tough, but we gotta play one game at a time and try to squeeze and make the best we can, and hopefully we may need at least I would say 6, but even 4 points. I know it's nothing, but we have to considering that we are, Palermo, 40,000 people, like almost like in same thing, like in Genoa, in Bari, whatever. And also Pisa, even if we play home, but Pisa is a very caustic, tough team, and I don't have any prediction, to be honest with you. I will go with the flow and I will pray. I don't know what to say. To be honest, so, I gotta be honest.
Before I wrap up, I just wanted to quickly two quick things. So one is the next match, next games for Serie B. Quickly recapitulate which ones are coming up. So we have, for this will be match day 29. And that means, as Raffaello said just a little bit earlier, there's 10 matches left. So this is the last end. This is the race to the end, right? Mm-hmm. So what we have is, the first one I have here for March 10 is Cagliari Ascoli. So that will be quite interesting to see if Cagliari is able to get again some points.
He should, yeah.
Benevento Como, mid-table type of game, so I guess
tight.
That's what I think too. But I think basically what they're looking for is chasing as much as points as possible in order to be closer enough to the playoffs,
to be out of the
and away from the bottom. Correct.
Yeah.
Then we have Cittadella Palermo. So our friend from
that's interesting.
USA, that'll be quite interesting because you have Palermo. That is this semi-surprise for the Serie B, but Cittadella, which were at the bottom for a little moment, but then they kind of resurface back to the mid-table. And as we mentioned before you joined us, Rafa, they're just only 3-4 points away from the playoffs.
It's still involved. Cittadella is still involved in the lower, the bottom, so they can now relax and just.
They have to be careful, both the bottom and exactly. Yeah. Then Modena Pisa, so that will be quite interesting with Modena, which is kind of that ugly type of team you play against, especially if it's in Modena. But Pisa is again hungry for points as well because they're trying to stay in there for the race. Then you have Parma Südtirol. Now that is a match.
That's a nice match. Yes, very interesting. Yes.
Actually, very quickly. But what do you think your prediction is?
My prediction
at Parma.
I could be, naive or just simple and say easy going and say tight, but I think Parma has something more. Parma now is it has to play, and it's big chance to in order to just to speed a little bit more. So that's the chance they have, and they have a lot of quality in the field. So they gotta really show who they are. So if they're gonna say something in this season, they should be Bisoli and company. I mean, I believe. I mean, I get.
What do you think, Matt?
I mean, I'm with Rafa on this one too, though, because like we've seen Parma be up and down. We've seen them be in moments where they've not, and obviously we were talking just a week or two ago when they had come back and had a fantastic win themselves. I think they're going to get something out of this. Südtirol are definitely in form, and it's not a crazy thing to back Südtirol in this match, but they have talent, and we've been waiting all season. Like we saw, I think that one video that went around with Buffon trying to motivate his players in the press conference and something. I think as soon as you see that stuff, you kind of think that the team is going to be able to start responding.
Consistency too, right?
But it's obviously not happened yet. So it could go either way, but I do agree with Rolf that I think Parma is where, if I was betting on this game, I'd put money on them for sure.
Quality.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna try to be the devil's advocate on this one. Even confirmed by the Parma fans worldwide and themselves too, saying they just don't understand the team. I'm just gonna say they won at Frosinone against Frosinone.
Mm-hmm.
They lost at home against Pisa. They win away at Regina.
Mm-hmm.
So the match
they lost with us.
That too, exactly.
It's unpredictable. It's really unpredictable.
They are unpredictable.
I understand.
So I don't know. I like how we say in Italian. This is a tripletta. Like yes, this is a tripletta. Meaning, which means they can either win, they can lose, or they can tie. It's hard to predict.
But rationally, if you think about it, Parma should just be
on the paper. You
know what I mean?
Paper,
no question about it.
Mm-hmm.
But then also because he got a little bit lucky also Südtirol. Like sometimes they won a lot of games with just one goal, like Juventus used to do in the first part of the season in Serie A.
Mm-hmm. But that's what Frosinone did too.
Yes, muso corto, just 1-0, Allegri style, let's say that. And that's why I don't really believe in Bisoli and in a Südtirol. As much as it's very simpatico, I feel like I like the team. I like this little dream, and but I don't really believe in the long term that it's gonna be consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So, then next one after that one is Perugia Regina. So after the thump that Regina has done, I think they're going to try to pull up their sleeves, but it could be a tie. God, it's hard to predict there as well.
I go for Regina, of course. I'm Calabrese. I have to go for Regina.
I wasn't expecting that.
I know. I was not expecting that either.
Surprisingly, I go for Regina.
Okay, fair enough. I respect it. Supporting the home region.
But and I think Regina can make it if he wants to say something. And
this is another side of Raffaello. I would never expected that.
Yeah, I mean, there is no way. Even if Castori is a vecchia volpe, I like Castori. He knows. He has experience in this category. I think is with Ranieri, they are the most expert coach.
Mm-hmm.
Even if Raniero is disappointing me, but it's not because probably the team is missing some quality in some maybe midfield or something. I don't know. It's missing something. I don't want to judge the team, but I don't know what's going on. Cagliari is a big disappointment. Cagliari.
Yeah,
it's
like another Parma.
Yeah.
They have the potential.
It's supposed to be next to you guys,
Yeah. I know.
And the feeling is not like, teams are not making a lot of points like Frosinone did. That's why Cagliari had a lot of time to make up all the points and go up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and then he's missing at least 5-6 points. I'm not kidding. So I don't know what happened. I can technically judge what happened, but I think he's missing something in the field, in the midfield. In the construction of the forward actions, he's missing some quality, some fantasy. I don't know, some.
Right. The next one up is Venezia Brescia. So that'll be quite interesting too. Venezia, we see that they're a little bit struggling right now, but they're definitely in need of points, not to mention Brescia is as well. But
I think Venezia is winning.
Ralph, what is
Venezia
that?
has more quality. Yeah.
What result would you want? I guess a draw in this case?
Yeah. For Cosenza could be tied, could be great. I mean, 0-0 could be the best. So not let them moving too much. Just calm down both of them and just. But I think Venezia has more quality. Also, Brescia team is following in terms of property presidents. I mean, it's just they have a lot of issue inside.
Small gossip. News gossip from Venezia. Both the marketing director and the image director, I'm just probably guessing the last one name, both have quit from Venezia.
Oh yeah, wow,
that's funny.
Yeah,
like marketing FC the last couple of years. They've gotten a nice offer somewhere else or something.
Thank God they don't have to score any goal. I mean, you know what I mean? That's
it's true.
That, in the end, is not the end of the world.
Yeah.
But
next,
it's a sign. It's a sign.
Yes, exactly. There's signs of dismantling or something. Next one, which is probably the one that us Genoani will have eyes on, is Bari Frosinone.
Oh.
And here I think Bari. I think Bari. For some reason, Bari has more quality.
Yeah, that's true. On the paper, absolutely, I agree. From the other side, I would say probably it's the first time that I would cheer for Frosinone.
Of course, like I did for Regina before. I mean, same thing. We're in the same boat, in different levels. You are in the attic, I'm in the basement. But it's okay. I mean, same, you know what I mean? If you remember the Titanic, used to have the
penthouse
on the top and the gypsy dancing the Russian tarantella in the bottom. And, you know, that's the truth, guys.
It's true. It's true.
That's not lies.
Fun. It's life.
Then second last for match day 29 is Cosenza Spal. Obviously, we want
that's the big match.
It's the win it all.
No question about it. In or out for me.
In or out.
And you can lose, you can tie, but then you gotta go to win in Palermo. You know, you gotta make a big miracle. Mm-hmm. You can still win with the Spal. It's alla tua portata. I mean, it's not so difficult. I mean, it's gonna be difficult, but it's not so impossible. Let's say that. You know, we can really make it if we play like we did against Regina or. Because also forget about today, the match of today, because I'm still pissed, to be honest with you. I know it's not the field where we're supposed to make points, but when you really give on a gold dish a couple goals like that, Vialli, it was right to say ci ha tagliato le gambe. You know, when you make these big mistakes, especially somebody like Calò. I mean, he has a lot of experience. You cannot do that. Are you kidding me? Because we believe me. I mean, Genoa had a lot of difficulty problems just to penetrate the wall in the first half. It was not easy for Genoa to create all this. You know what I mean? Obviously, big difference in quality and everything, but was not so easy in the beginning. But when you do that, I mean, forget it. I mean, just
that's it.
You lose the desire just to play this game until the end, because it's unbelievable. And we did these mistakes for all the seasons. We never found any really a big team that we was, we dominate. All the entire game. Like, we always were even, or like at least we've been playing well for 45 minutes, an hour, but we never made bad games. And today was a different game, because when you get that, make these big mistakes, there is no way to fix the game anymore, and then also morally you go down and just
go down, of course.
Yeah.
Last but not least, of course, is the Genoa Ternana. One thing I wanted to remind all listeners and followers from North America: we're changing to daylight savings, while Europe is not changing yet. So the times are going to shift a little bit by 1 hour, of course. Mm-hmm. So Genoa is not going to be playing at 10:15 a.m., but it's going to be playing at 11:15, and same for Cosenza, we're both playing at the same time on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will switch. So
last round, and I invite you to join also, Raffaello, is a quick prognostic, guess. What do you think is the Genoa Ternana match what's the turnout going to be? What's the result?
Genoa Ternana, no?
Yeah, at Genova.
2-0. Yeah,
thank
2-0.
You. I like
dry, secco.
I have to agree with Raf. I think Ternana have been in a weird way. I don't know why. I felt like they had such a strong start to the season. It doesn't make sense to me that they have made
like Regina.
Yeah, very much like Regina.
Same.
And I just think we're figuring it out. We've got Ekuban back. We have a lot of our players that are ready to go. No Coda still, I don't think, but I don't think we'll need him. And I think if Goodmanson plays like he did today, then we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think that's. I believe that maybe you guys still make the first place. Because I still I'm not sure about Frosinone, because in the spring and summer field, when the weather is changing, you will be surprised, guys. You will see team that they have been doing so good in the beginning falling down, because the weather, the preparation is flipping over at some point for so many teams. And I promise you will see some interesting surprise before the end of the season.
You never know. 10 games is still not a decent amount of games left. So that's 30 points.
I know, but if you lose a couple of games, maybe 3, everything will be possible.
Totally. I agree with you. I think also they play Frosinone, play Bari, they play us, they play Regina. That's potentially 9 points. They play Südtirol, Cagliari. It's not like they've got.
So we're involved at least 15 points. Right. Now, I don't want to say they are going to lose 15 points, but 7, 8, 9, you never know. You never know. And, that's why Bari has to play their chance, because they still have a chance to go in second place if you go to the first place. Mm-hmm. And maybe Frosinone is falling down a little bit just by the end of the season. You never know. It's very unpredictable, Serie B, guys. You know that. It's not like Serie A or Serie B is really, really weird. Maybe Perugia is gonna, hopefully not, because it's still involved in a lower, place. But it's gonna win maybe 3, 4, 5, and he can still play for playoff. Yeah, still participate to the playoff. You never know. I don't trust anything. Until the end of at least until May. May, because then there is June, I think, no? End of June. Can I end?
No, end of May. We end of May is the end.
It's very.
Oh yeah, not June.
It's no June. It's a very quick, 4 games in.
So let's say in the middle of April. Everything should be
pretty close.
already all set.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, like the thing with Frosinone is if they end up dropping points and all this, because they've been so far ahead for so long, if they're all of a sudden only like 5 points ahead, like you never know. That pressure,
right?
Maybe a little bit different on them. Even if at the end of the day, more than likely they're going to be automatically qualified. But if they drop points, you never know. So
they are deserving. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
they deserve the first place. They are doing such wonderful job, but still, I don't know. I mean, that's what I feel. I feel this. I have this feeling. I got the feeling that maybe
No, I agree with you guys. Like they deserve to be where they are, but they have been at the right, like one of those things, right place, the right time, or right moment with the right results and so on. And I think it's just a combination of these things, and it's not purely entirely because of the quality that is there. That's my take. And we also have to see what's going to happen if they do get promoted. What's going to happen next year in Serie A? Will they have the organic? Will they have the money? Will they have that stamina to stay in Serie A, or are they going to be another team that just came up to go back down again? Anyways, that's a different topic altogether. From my perspective, Lucarelli came back, so it's one thing that makes me a little bit muddle a little bit on the fact of what can be. But the form is definitely on our side with respect to what they have been collecting in the last matches. If I only look at the last 3, which mind you is not necessarily proper based on the fact of the change in coach, is going from the last one to the oldest. It's a tie, loss at home against Cittadella, loss away at Perugia, and a tie against Parma. On the paper, it looks like it's possible. Genoa at Genova at the Marassi is a different story. It's when we go, especially on the other pitches away on these difficult turfs, that we get these teams that are a little bit, to Raffaello's point, that's very physical and so on, that we suffer a little bit. We do suffer that as well in Marassi. But a lot less based on the 12th man, which is, our team, our guys that even when we go in the away, we still bring a lot of fans with us. But still, I don't want to be too,
you are
happy and with all these goals that
you are happy. Much happy. So don't say I'm not going to be, because you are.
What I'm trying to say is, like, I don't want to think that we're going to make a lot of goals again, but I think we can do a nice 2-0 as well. And to Matt's point, there's a lot of players that are coming back from injury, so they're going to be reinforcing the team, which was missing throughout the season in different moments and different things like that. So I do see a win. So Raffaello,
but I think also that, sorry to interrupt you, Genoa has a lot of adrenaline right now, enthusiasm. And Ternana is not there with his mind. The mind is not there anymore like used to be before. That's the big difference.
Yeah, that's
otherwise it's a nice team. Ternana is not a bad team as much as Pisa. I mean, I don't see a big difference between Pisa and Ternana. But Pisa has also a lot of adrenaline like Genoa right now. And the Ternana has they made the complication, maybe stupid complication. Mm-hmm. And I think part of the problematics comes also from the ultras. Like in Cosenza, same thing. Sometimes ultras has to be ultras. They gotta just support. I don't want to say they gotta be slave, just shut their mouth and do whatever, the patron say or whatever. But, at some point, at some critical point of the tournament, everybody has to do what they has to do. So, you know what I mean? They cannot be a superhero and change everything, like, they just go back or go against, or because they are right, a fight. And whatever. You know what I mean? People should start keeping smarter, because sometimes you can ruin a season for stupidities, for
That's
stupid
true.
things.
And keep in mind, not to do with the mentality itself, but we do have two matches, one right after the other one, meaning we have a match on the weekend, and then there's a midweek, and then there's a break for the national teams, and we'll be back at the end of March.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions you wanted to add there, Matt?
No, I think covered it well.
Okay. Rafa, as always, you're more than welcome to be our guest at our home.
It's a pleasure for me. Thank you. It's an honor.
You're like, it'll be so different to see the match against Ternana, which are like on the fan base, they're like our enemies being friends with the cyclists, compared to this match, which is like one of our best friends that we have out there. So the spectacle is going to be quite different. But yeah, a pleasure always to have you at our home and coming and talking to you like all the times.
Likewise, guys.
So thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you, guys.
Don't forget to follow our. Oh wait, Rafa, if anybody wants to reach out to you, Cosenza fan or friend and whatnot, how can they? Instagram is the best way to.
The only media.
You follow them.
The other probably two on Facebook are just fans pages. They are not official. The only official media vehicle to communicate is the one on official since 2021 2001 on Instagram page.
So if anybody wants
nothing else, yes.
So if anybody wants to reach out for Cosenza questions, or Raffaello, reach out to Cosenza Club New York.
Yeah.
And for us at the same time, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, drop us a comment, put us likes anytime, send us a direct message if you want to be part of our Genoa chat. And we will be seeing you next week after the match against Ternana and talking about our upcoming match of Brescia. And wanted to wrap it up, as always, saying, never forget, always and only, Forza Genoa. You've listened to La Lanterna, a spotlight on Italian football, a podcast powered by Genoani Si Resta. Thank you for listening, and see you next week.